I wanted to say was that John Dickert is behind a lot of this stuff, this momentum that's carrying forward. Now, he was very instrumental in Corey Mason announcing his candidacy for mayor. Sure. In fact, he introduced him at the podium. He was also instrumental in getting Rebecca Mason ushered into that municipal judgeship out of 6 candidates. Good morning. Welcome to Talking Racine. We have with us this morning Mr. Ken Lumpkin, candidate for the 4th District County Board Supervisor position.
Morning, Ken.
Mr. George Myers.
Morning, Ken.
Eminent commentator at City Council meetings. Mr. Jim Spodek.
Yes, it's finally been recognized. You've been exposed.
Yes, well, and I'm Dr. Ken Yorgan. I'm just a mild-mannered correspondent who's happy to see you this morning. And what are we going to talk about this morning? Well, we're going to talk about the election because it's coming up pretty soon. It's a week from tomorrow. There's going to be the election here in the City of Racine. We've got 4 council seats up for vote, and we have a municipal judge. We have a Supreme Court candidate, and there's another race, isn't there, Ken?
Yeah. It's the supervisor.
County Board Supervisor,
yeah.
Donnie Snow is running for County Board Supervisor.
That's within the city.
And you're involved in some way,
and
aren't
also,
you?
I'm running, yeah. Proud to say.
Hint.
So, anyway, there's quite a number of seats that are up for vote on Tuesday, a week from tomorrow. So we're going to discuss that, what's going on here a little bit. And we got some clips. There were some debates and forums that were held recently.
Right.
And
well, we recorded all of them, and they're all going to be up on the website. So all the debates in their entirety, or forums, are going to be up on the website. So and those will be released with this episode.
If you got insomnia, I'd recommend it. Yeah. But you've got some clips.
We got some, yeah. A little more of the. A little more of the action, I guess, that happened.
Yeah, the highlights.
The highlight clip. But
what's up first? I believe it's the
Mr. Lumpkin.
Mr. Lumpkin's race.
And we can we'll hit that first, and then we're going to kind of go through some of the other ones, and we'll kind of comment on them.
Okay.
Good.
Go ahead
Ready?
and fire it up, and we'll.
For the record, the Racine Labor Council endorsed, and I'm with the United Auto Workers and the Screener, and we endorsed Melissa Caprelli and Becker and Tracy Lara.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is from the community. There are a lot of us.
Can I comment on?
Absolutely.
Since he mentioned that I was never invited, as the same as you guys said, she wasn't invited. I wasn't invited.
That was the Labor Council's responsibility, not the UAW.
I'm just saying I wasn't invited.
Okay.
And we pretty much stopped it right there. I wasn't invited.
Well, you got your dander up there a little bit, Mr. Lumpkin.
Well, right at the beginning of my particular area, when it's time for me to enter into the forum, the president of the Democratic Party, and it really surprised me because I'm not a card-carrying Democrat, but I've always leaned towards the Democratic Party, and people kind of know that, And the new president, because I guess she had a problem with this show, she spoke in behalf of my opponent, which was not there, had said in advance that she could make no time available because the groups that was putting on the debate, I won't call it a debate, I looked at it more of a forum, just so the different candidates, including myself, could kind of explain what our agendas was and what we're going to do.
Yeah, it's kind of a question and answer period, isn't it?
That's all forum is. You're not arguing with each other like you're trying to make a point. You're just presenting your views so that people know how this person stands on issues. Yeah.
But he was, Meg Andreevich was contending that Melissa had not been invited to this forum?
Yes, that's the statement she made, and she felt that basically because she was not invited, that the forum should not go any further. And
no, this was co-sponsored by co-sponsored by a number of groups, right?
Yeah, I think it's about 20 different groups Interfaith Coalition, the African American Round Table, what is it? LULAC? Yeah.
Well, I have a tough time believing that she didn't get an invitation.
Yeah. In fact, the individuals that put the whole forum together came up and made some statements to the fact that they know that she was sent a letter and that she received a letter, and her response was basically that she couldn't find no time for the event.
Right.
And that was up to her. I didn't feel that I need to be punished and not be able to say what I had planned to say and what my feeling was towards being a supervisor again.
Well, and respond to any questions that the public would have.
Right.
Now, I noticed that there was a gentleman there from the UAW, which I've been a member of in the past, in good standing, and he felt compelled to mention that the UAW had endorsed your opponent. Now, isn't that a question and answer period? That doesn't strike me as a question.
No.
It struck me as him just being there to do a little bit of lobbying.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like I said then, I hadn't been invited. I was invited to the...
Hadn't been invited to what?
To their
to the UAW screenings? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But the AFL-CIO, which did endorse me, I pretty much kind of thanked them for their endorsements. And he felt compelled to mention that.
They didn't endorse you. Yeah. But you know what? I was setting up the camera. We'll get down to the nitty-gritty now, because we're dancing around this. When I was setting up the camera, I didn't. That's why I am what I am.
Yes, you are.
But when I was setting up the camera, I didn't catch it. But they came up and basically wanted the forum to be stopped because she was not there, and she did not show. Tracy Laren did not show, and QA Shakur did not show. So those three incumbents did not show, and head of the Democratic Party wanted the forum to be stopped because they didn't show. Well,
that's amazing.
It is amazing. But this is, again, I think it's just this power structure, that we're in control, and
well, there's no question that Mayor Mason has put forth a great deal of effort to get people elected that are going to support his agenda.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those people are Jenna Dansky-Torres, Tracy Laren, QA Shakur, of course, and who's the fourth one?
Damsky, Tracy Laren.
Dennis Weiser.
Yeah,
Dennis Weiser.
Dennis Weiser.
Melissa Caprillion-Becker is running for the county board.
And in doing that, he's deliberately bringing in partisan politics.
Absolutely.
He's bringing in the Democrat Party.
He's using the Democratic Party as a promotional device.
Yes, and when they held the fundraiser for Tracy Laren, they had the new Democrat in the assembly, Greta Neubauer, as one of the people that was promoting or sponsoring this fundraiser.
Well, they're calling it a blue wave. They're going to wave in with Democrats. It's the blue wave.
The blue wave, huh?
And I tell you, in a community that is nonpartisan, this is a big problem. I mean, you want independent.
Well, when they bring in a United States senator,
yeah,
not a state senator. This is a United States senator, Tammy Baldwin, to come in to help attack a standing very good alderman, Sandy Widener. Mm-hmm. There's something going on. Now, this is no longer just a matter of the best thing for the city. We're down to power politics.
It's a power play, right? And like I said, he's using the Democrat Party as a tool to advance his personal agenda.
He is.
And I really think that he's got up his sleeve some spending projects. Now, he was a big proponent of the arena at one time. Now, I know he ended up vetoing it, but he did not come out and speak against that arena until the 8th of September. Prior to that, he was very much a supporter of that arena. Now they're talking about I saw just recently they're talking about the event center, which is the arena under a different name. I mean, people use the arena as a means of making it easy to understand what project they were talking about. But the event center, the arena, they're all one and the same. And, I fully expect that to be coming back strong. And he wants to get his people in position so that there's not going to be any opposition to that. And certainly Sandy Widener is somebody that's going to be asking questions if she's on that council. Right. And he doesn't want to have any questions. So
Yeah. And
I'm calling BS on the whole project.
Well, another concern is with Tammy Baldwin coming into the city, and the Democratic Party, a wave of them, I don't know whether it's a small group or others. They have they recruited I forget his name is Adamski.
Oh,
Nick
Dembski,
Adamski.
running against Donnie
Now,
Snow.
now I'm gonna kind of explain my district and Snow's district. Both of us are located in what they call majority minority districts. In the 80s, those districts was created for minority participation, hoping that you could get a individual elected that could speak or be a voice for the people in those areas that look like them.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the problem was that there was no minority representation on the board.
No, it wasn't.
And they figured the only way that minorities could be elected is if there was a majority of minorities in a given district. So they were specifically carved out to give people there an opportunity to elect one of their own, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Democratic Party, which is supposed to be in this particular election, is a nonpartisan. It's not
a nonpartisan election.
It's not
right.
libertarian. It's not Democrat. It's not Republican. But the Democratic Party seemed to be taking an enormous involvement in this. I mean, the recruitment of Snow opponent was through the Democratic Party. The individual didn't decide to run, and then the Democratic Party supported him. The Democratic Party actually went out and recruited him. And then to bring Tammy Baldwin to that particular district through a black church, and then she go from door to door in that district trying to recruit people. That was just surprising to me that the Democratic Party would do that.
Well, that's star power. You know, she's being brought in, and she's a popular senator around the state. But what I don't understand is why would anybody think that Tammy Baldwin has a clue about what's going on in Racine or Racine County?
Yeah.
What is her opinion about a particular candidate down here in these local elections got anything to do with anything?
Well, and that's why I come up with the theory, which I think is a pretty sound-based theory, is that they're trying to get
abandon it if you didn't believe that, right?
They're trying to get the Democrat Party, more Democrats in here to take control of it. I mean, some of the people coming in to actually campaign for mayoral candidates and alderman candidates are from outside of Racine County even. They're coming down from the Milwaukee area because there's more of them up there, and they're coming down to campaign in our city so that the Democrats maintain control.
That's why.
And when you see Tammy Baldwin, if I saw Ron Johnson coming in here, I'd be screaming about what the heck is he coming in here bringing the Republican Party in.
Right. No,
and we've had our share of Republicans on. There was a time when we had 3 staunch Republicans. In fact, the fourth one kind of switched a little bit. But the 3, I tell you what, they were as big as spenders as any Democrats on that council too.
Well, usually when you're
That's Greg Helding, David Mack, and Jim Spangenberg. Those 3.
Yeah, when you're playing power politics like that, that's usually what it's about, is money spending.
That's what it's about.
When they want to create these blocks of
It's
strength.
not about the community.
Yeah.
It started in the federal government, it went to the state government, and now they want to bring it to the local government. That's why your door never stops being knocked on from people from outside this community.
And your mailbox is full of
and somehow, I'll tell you what, if these elections are going to get down to you folks right out there. It's going to get right down to the people of the city of Racine. If they're going to buy into this, guess what? We're going to miss and bypass some very good candidates for office that would do very good in that council, and we're going to be ending up with the same old, spend money, waste money, funnel it towards power, and help us keep our positions of power and prestige.
I want to bring a clip in. Since you brought up Donnie Snow, let's go to that clip, and because there's a little bit back and forth with that.
If elected, I will continue to do that. I think I've represented the best of this community. I think I've represented the best of my family and the organization that I've been a part of, and of course my ethnicity. And I will continue to do that because it is vitally needed in this community. And as I said, if you want to continue the the political ethnic cleansing that has already happened with the Racine Unified School Board, and we know the issues that they face. We would be able to do that by simply electing someone that is not of color. And you will go down that road of genocide, and I don't think that's what we want. And if we do, then I think that Racine will continue to climb the ladder of the worst community in this country if we continue to purge minority leadership. Thank you for your vote.
Yeah, it is.
Well, if we don't start, we've got to get some decent people in the council and keep decent people. We're going to put in people that like this identity politics thing.
Yeah.
Separating people into little groups.
Yep.
That's what's called identity. You identify with that group, whether it's a Hispanic or whether it's a young guy or a woman or whatever it is.
Why did you point at me when you said woman? Well, you know something I don't know?
I don't know nothing about that. The point is that it divides the country up and divides us into little segments and gets us fighting with each other. And this is what Donnie Snow's concerned about. I mean, we are the fourth worst city in the country. Is it for black people?
Oh, yeah.
And there's a reason for that.
Because Milwaukee's number 3. That's why we're number 4.
Because there's only 3 worse than us.
But together, that makes southeast Wisconsin the worst region in the
well,
the entire
and it doesn't. We don't have to be that way. I mean,
no, not at all.
We've got. I don't know. There's a lot of very smart black people out there. I see. Not in business or anything, and I'm thinking, what's the problem? And I know what the problem is. I know it's the regulations and having to be connected and the people in government picking winners and losers.
But here, I got one. I know there was a lot of static on the internet, Facebook, about that genocide comment, and I don't know. How do you
explain
feel?
the genocide? Yeah, explain what that
Well,
is.
he means political genocide.
Right.
It's a powerful word to be throwing in any kind of a debate. I mean, I'm surprised he used
Donnie
it.
do use words sometimes.
I didn't realize you'd use words. Yeah,
But I think what he's kind of following on is what I was talking about. I mean, people need to be able to communicate with the people in their community. I'm not saying that you have to have a black in office in order to solve problems for blacks, but they have a better understanding because they themselves. I know you was in the bar. You know about the bar lawsuit. I mean, it was nothing for this city to actually close down businesses.
No.
They never looked at them as bars.
No.
Right.
They was impeding what their project was going to be, the Potter Project. And the Potter Project was being created for Johnson's. And the Johnsons was going to use those facilities to put their executives. So you closed down people that invested all their money, and these people wasn't supposed to bring a lawsuit.
They have not pulled a license since.
Yeah.
Not one.
And there are bars that are much more problematic than the bars that are closed.
Let me explain something. I'm a Lyft driver. On weekends, I work the late shift, and I'm constantly downtown picking up people, and I'm down there with the police department because you have all kinds of problems on Main Street and on 6th Street now, and you hear absolutely nothing. You don't see them being pulled in by the License and Welfare Committee, whatever. I mean, this town need change, and I think one of the things that irritate people I'm hearing now is this program.
Yeah.
Because I'm not giving it a plug, but I'm just saying people always hear people always hear the good stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I don't know if it's even good stuff. They hear stuff that's soothing,
right?
That'll quell their concerns. Everything is fine. Yeah. Everything's going good. We're getting crime under control.
And we're going to bring back the city with
bring
this
back
arena
jobs.
and the
We got
flowers.
Foxconn coming.
Yeah.
Everything's
That's
nice.
exactly it.
One of my good friends, I don't know how good a friend he is to me now, but is the chief of police. And I remember months ago the Journal-Time doing these stories about how crime is just about at zero.
Zero?
Yeah. And now I see the same individuals have to do a commentary on how the police department is doing, you know, after the two shootings. We had one Saturday night on the north side, and then you had the one that ended up in death on the south side. I mean, how do you know, if you think everything is just great, then you set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
You got to look at both sides.
And we have a really good barometer of how good things are going, and it's the number of people coming to town or leaving town. We are still losing population, folks, and it's dropped down a lot since the early 70s, but or the late 70s, but it still is every year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another couple hundred people leave the city. That's not a good sign. That's a sign that
that's
there are problems
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
It's hard to get a job here. It's just hard to raise a family here. It's a great town. We all love it, but there's got some problems here, and that's what we address here. To me, they don't seem really hard things to understand. I'm surprised that people find it so interesting what we talk about. To me, it's very obvious when you've got these problems going on. And just look at these elections right now.
Yeah.
It's almost to the point where if you're competent, we want you off the ballot. We want you out of office. We don't want you winning any elections. We want people to just get along and go with the flow.
Well,
Quit thinking, please.
The same people who are promoting things coming down the road are the people that made all these failed decisions in the past. Somehow or another, we're being told that we should believe that now the things that they're bringing forward are going to be successful. And they're going to make a difference.
Yeah, which is loony.
And it's going to draw more people in. It's going to draw businesses in, so on and so forth.
And no questions. Yeah,
well, they don't like us because we ask questions.
I think that's got to be it. I mean, and maybe that's why people are watching this show, is because somebody's asking some questions, and apparently we seem to be making some sense. I know it makes sense to me, what I see and what I know about politics and dirty politics and power politics, and somebody that gets in the office and just connects with the people and wants to do that. Yeah. And I see how often that type of person gets elected. If Sandy Widener had gotten elected, that would have been like a massive turnaround from the way this whole country's been going.
A big change, yeah.
I mean, you just don't see people like that getting elected and as that high in office, and unfortunately, we didn't either.
Yeah. Well,
I want to just, let's move to the next one.
All right, let's talk.
I wanted to say a little something before that, and one of the things I wanted to say was that John Dickert is behind a lot of this stuff, this momentum that's carrying forward. Now, he was very instrumental in Corey Mason announcing his candidacy for mayor. Sure. In fact, he introduced him at the podium. He was also instrumental in getting Rebecca Mason ushered into that municipal judgeship out of 6 candidates. And
and what you said, Doc,
continues, and now what we're going to look at next is the judge's race, I believe.
And what you said about Corey Mason wanting to get things straightened out so he could bring back the arena type of thing, you can just see that we have the Dickert camp here, and the arena had, and Corey Mason had to veto it. But let's get those sides back together.
Right.
Now, wouldn't that be nice, feathering Corey Mason's cap? And then that's why we got to get all these competent people off off of this council, so we can get the Democrats back together again and not fighting each other.
Right. Yeah, don't think. All right. Let me go to the next one.
So I understand the question. I guess in some ways it doesn't matter whether I've been made aware of the directive or not. The judiciary and the executive branch are co-equal separate branches of the government. I have been elected by the citizens of Racine to serve as judge and apply the facts to the law and call them as in. I don't always agree with my husband, and that doesn't matter. I am the judge elected by you to apply the law and the facts in each particular situation that comes to me.
Yeah, that's very good sounding words. It's a good description of the separation of powers in government. Unfortunately, she doesn't fit very well into that description. Now, here's the thing to remember about the municipal court. There are no jury trials there. She's also judge and jury. So right. she not only applies the law, but then, like a jury, she decides whether you're guilty or not. You see, and when her husband is in there, I mean, when she said earlier on that I got elected, and then my husband got elected, and that is not a conflict of interest. It has nothing to do with the order of getting elected to whether it's a conflict of interest. The fact that the two of them hold office at the same time in the same family, husband and wife, is the conflict of interest, not the order of getting elected.
Well, the problem is that according to the Supreme Court rules, she needs to recuse herself on every case that involves the municipality because her husband is the CEO of the municipality.
That's exactly
She either
right,
has to recuse herself or get a waiver from the defendant, which means that it's additional paperwork. I mean, one of the things that she's priding herself in is streamlining the system. That's an entirely different procedure that has to be added to each and every case.
But
that's not streamlining.
The thing is, for her to say that's not a conflict of interest is fine for her to evaluate it that way, but it seems like the Supreme Court has different ideas about it.
Well, and how many,
they feel like there is a conflict of interest.
And how many people are going to choose to not have her sit as the judge?
That's the thing. And fortunately, you know, we're bringing partisan politics right back into the municipal court.
It's just opening up a can of worms to have the municipal judge be the wife of the mayor.
All right, this is John Bachakli, and he's going to talk.
He's that's on point. The rule says that a judge shall recuse herself in cases where her spouse is an officer of one of the parties. It's a clear rule. It doesn't matter if she's aware of the directive or not. The rule applies to lawyers and judges. It does not apply to non-lawyers. So that's why the rule applies to Judge Mason. The rule does not apply to Mayor Mason. He's not a lawyer as far as I understand. Since she's the judge, she has to abide by this rule. There's also a statute that says that the mayor is the chief executive officer of the municipality. So if he's the chief officer of the city, then she's violated the rule. She should either recuse herself or give a waiver in every single case that the city is involved in.
The rule that Mr. Attorney Bachakli references is rooted in the idea of having a financial interest in the outcome of the case. I have zero financial interest. My husband has zero financial interest in how I decide a traffic ticket or how I decide a code violation.
Now, there is an attempt by a lawyer to circumvent the rule using tricky lawyer logic, circumvent the law.
Well, it's a rule. It's not a law.
Exactly. Well, when the Supreme Court issues it as a decision, it's as close to a law as you're going to get without it being a law.
Yes, they can get in trouble for violating the rules. You know, they don't call them laws. But you're right. It's something that attorneys have to abide by.
Yeah, and for her stand up there and continue to assert this is not a conflict of interest. Well, the gentleman here, he's going to get John. He's going to get into it very shortly, but it's not a matter of just whether you have a conflict of interest or whether you're not having you're not changing your opinion. It's also the appearancy. The fact that we're sitting here in a community with a husband and wife team as mayor and municipal judge does not go well with anybody that looks at it and knows something about government.
It should not be the responsibility of a defendant to try and determine whether or not there is a conflict of interest. I mean, it's so glaringly obvious that it could be perceived as such, and that the potential is there.
And it can be so slight and so devious for her to make that statement. Well, if you think I'm doing that, well, don't reelect me. Well, how many people are going down and watching her municipal court? That's an easy boast to make without actually meaning it. The darn thing. It's just ridiculous if someone would think that way.
In terms of me having to recuse myself, that would mean that this rule would prohibit me from having this job entirely because every single case that comes to the court involves the City of Racine on behalf of the people.
There we go.
Exactly.
That can't be a rule, because if that's the rule and I'm supposed to follow that rule, well, then I'd never be able to listen to anything. That's the problem.
So therefore it can't be a rule.
Yeah, that's the problem, Rebecca. Yeah. And therefore it can't be a rule. There's good logical lawyer thinking.
I mean, whoa.
Supreme Court case from 2008. It's a Ziegler case. It involved discipline against a judge. The judge was a circuit court judge that was hearing cases that involved a bank. The judge's spouse was an officer of the bank, was a trustee of the bank. Now I'm going to read to you a little bit of that case. It has nothing to do with financial interest. It's not a perverse case or anything like that. It's a very reasonable case. The essence of the Supreme Court rule, I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit, in absolutely prohibiting a judge from sitting on a case in which the judge's spouse is a director of a party is to avoid the perception of a conflict of interest. It's to avoid the perception that the judge is unfair and partial. That's the word perception in there. It doesn't matter if she's getting any benefit from the case or if her husband is getting any benefit from the case. It's a perception. You wouldn't want me to preside over a case where my dad is suing you, even though I might not get a benefit, or my cousin is suing you, even though I might not get a benefit. If a judge complies with the rule, no question will ever arise about a judge's favoritism towards a party until litigation when the judge's spouse is a director. The harm caused by a violation of this code exists even though the judge reaches the correct decision in the particular case and the judge does not receive any personal benefit from the decision. That's a Supreme Court case.
Again, it's a simple thing to follow the rules.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with finances. No, she's not going to gain anything pocket money. But if her husband was going on a campaign to close down black bars or something like that, you don't think she wouldn't have something to say about that or decide about that? How she might just
well, there's your perception right there. Just the fact that you have that question in your mind. That's the perception.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the issue.
This is
and it's going to not sit well for the city. You know, the city was very embarrassed when Gary Becker went down. Remember that?
Yeah.
People were very, that's a reflection on our city. This, folks, is another reflection on our city. Husband and wife team on one judge and one the mayor. Wow, that's going to make us look real good.
It's going to disrupt the efficiency of the court completely. It really will. It'll derail the system.
The king and queen.
Yeah.
Batman and Catwoman.
Bring back the monarchy.
Well, when is the prom anyway?
I don't know exactly. It's April 3rd is their prom. So
well, I know you got a couple of clips you want to play after we close off our discussion. So we're going to say good morning, have a nice day. Tell everybody good morning. Eh?
Good morning, folks.
Good morning. All right.
Enjoy these next two clips. There's a couple of very interesting people.
Jim's going to show.
What do you
Don't forget to vote Tuesday.
Yeah, that's
April
true.
the 3rd.
Well, a week from tomorrow.
We'll be
we'll hound them.
next week.
We'll
We're
hound
going to be
them
really
next
banging on that.
But I just want to preface this. This is Dennis Monte running in the 4th district, and Malcolm Platt running in the 8th district, and neither one of the incumbents showed up to the forum.
And both of the incumbents were very instrumental in working on that arena and working on Machinery Row and spending lots and lots of money wastefully.
Yes, indeed.
And the funniest thing, they didn't show up for this forum. At any rate.
So enjoy the clips. Have a good week. We'll see you next Monday.
Just to wrap it up, I just want to bring to your awareness, I'm sure you already see or don't see, what kind of representation that you would have if you voted for the incumbent. You see, the incumbent has been invited to now 2 forums and has failed to show up, using, from what I've heard, excuses, a failure to be properly notified. Like I said, I have 2 young children. I'm a single father, and I made it here. My invitation was postmarked on March 12th. I received it March 13th, 10 days before this forum, and I made it here. I made it here. I'm here for those who want to have their concerns and questions answered. That is the type of alderman that you will have in me. That is the type of representation you can expect from me. No matter what we have said this evening, what you see sitting before you, or lack thereof, is what you can expect going forward, depending on who you cast your vote for. Whether you cast your vote for the one who materialized or the one who failed to materialize. Thank you.
My opponent has had 2 years. Her record speaks for itself. She quit the RDA. She quit attending neighborhood watch meetings. She bragged about winning her first campaign with a knocking on doors. I don't know if I'd brag about that. I think that would be a disgrace. So, but I'm in touch with our community. Do you want the same old at City Hall, or do you want to see positive change, realistic economic development, jobs, proper representation, fair treatment for all, and full transparency?